Welcome to Jesus Centric Life. I'm Donna, and I'm not going to introduce Pastor Josh this time because he's actually our guest. We spared no expense. We flew you guys in from down the hall.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And so Sarah's here with him, and we get to have a talk together. This is kind of fun. I told Sarah this is like having dinner, except we're in a studio, and we've got mics in front of us. So here we go. Thanks for joining us, though, seriously.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for wanting to have this conversation about faith and family. So, Pastor Josh, I want to start with you. What made you want to have this conversation with Sarah? Why is this the one that you picked to really host?
Yeah, well, I think you had it on the list of podcast ideas, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we could do that, but I'll only do it with Sarah. Because the reality is, like, if we're going to talk about raising our family in the faith, like it's a team effort, right? It's not just like I'm pastor and I go home and I tell my kids exactly, I'm the only one that talks to them about Jesus in the, everlasting worship service that we have at our home, right? Like that's not what we do. Like I know that's a weird analogy.
That was kind of weird
picture.
But like we raise our kids to know Jesus together. It's very much a team effort.
Right. Parenting should always be team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's of course the leader, which is you. But you've got to do that together. And that's definitely why God calls us to do that together.
Yeah,
so yeah, for sure. All right. So how many years have you guys been married?
This summer, it'll be 15 years.
Nice. Congratulations.
I'm glad she was here to answer it and I didn't have to come up with it.
Do you remember our anniversary?
Was it like the 30th, July 30th?
Okay, good. We got the month too. Woohoo!
That was good. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. All right. And how many years were you guys married before you had kids?
We were married for about 5.5 years before Caleb was born.
And that's really good. My son has a theory that the longer you date and the longer you're married before kids, the stronger it is. Is that
we
that
didn't
true?
date. Well, for your family, it was long. My family, it was short.
Yeah.
And then we had a 6-month engagement. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we knew we were under a year and a half that we knew each other kind of.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that.
So much for Josh Patton's theory, right? No,
well, but I think for them, they dated longer and then had kids a little quicker. We didn't date as long and then were married longer than they were. We were, 5.5 years before we had kids. So I think the whole thing, we had a couple in our vicarage church or my student pastor church that kind of said it well. They said the 20s was for you as a couple and the 30s were for kids. And that's kind of what we followed. And we had the blessing that we were married young enough that we had a number of good years to be married before having kids. And so it worked out for us. But I think that, setting that groundwork in your marriage before you add the stress of having kids, because it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing having, but by golly, it's stressful to have kids.
Yes. And we had growing up to do. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We got married when we were 23, 24?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And those first years, they're I call them the mac and cheese years, when all you can afford is that $1 box of mac and cheese every night.
It's pretty true.
Yeah, and we had a few years of going to the food banks on the seminary campus when we couldn't even afford the mac and cheese ourselves. So we get it.
Yeah, those are solid years. But
they are.
But they also... I don't know, they're good foundational years because they give you what you need for the long haul. Yeah?
Absolutely. We learned a lot in that time about what we could expect of each other and even just how to fight.
Yep.
That was really important.
It is.
So, which sounds so weird, but...
Yeah, but it's not when you say fighting, you think kind of bad, but it's fighting for the marriage. It's fighting to do things together. So even fighting to cook together, we didn't come together as a couple and it's we're perfect at everything. It's we had to kind of fight, not each other, but fight to learn how to cook together, learn how to be in the same house, learn how to be roommates, learn how to problem solve and make plans together, because it's not I have an idea and we're going to do that. And Sarah kind of just goes along with it. We had to fight to kind of bring our ideas together because we both knew we had something to add, but it's not always natural to add two ideas and come out with the better idea.
And then you had kids and all the fighting went away.
Oh, yeah, because that's what happens.
I've been to dinner at your house a few times where I've gotten to see some of those spicy conversations. Well, that's what we'll call them.
Spicy conversations. That is a good word for that.
But what I love with you guys is I love the intentionality of how you work through them. And it's not a big blip.
We have some rules
moments
about things.
Yeah.
Because if we start a fight in front of the kids, we also have to finish the fight in front of the kids.
Yeah, which is huge.
Because they need to see us working on it. And so if we're not willing to have the fight, sometimes it's just a good reminder of keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
Yeah. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most is you guys you never disrespect each other.
Thank you.
You have some moments where, I wanted to do that. I thought you were doing that. I was going to do this, but then there's never disrespect. There's never a belittling. It's always, you get it figured out and the evening moves on, which is good because usually we're playing Catan afterwards and that would be terribly silent to sit there the whole time.
It would be very awkward for you.
It would be terrible, but I've never experienced that. So that's good. That's good with you guys. All right. So I want to kind of get back to this parenting piece. The truth is you are a pastor and Sarah, you're a pastor's kid. So I've always said that being a church worker is like living in a fishbowl, right? But we never want to parent in the fishbowl. Just be aware that the fishbowl exists. Does that make sense? We never want to put that pressure on our kids of you're living in a fishbowl. I was aware of it, but I never laid that on Joshua. Okay. Yeah. So with all that being said, what's the hard that you guys deal with being in ministry and raising your kids in the faith? We're going to talk about it outside of ministry, but I just want to look at that reality that you are in ministry, and that comes with a whole different level of challenge.
There's a lot of levels to that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of them is just like we have, and it's a good and the bad, like we have a faith family that cares about us as, I'm a professional church worker as their pastor. And so that means they care about our kids like at a deeper level than they do just a random kid in the church. Not that any of the kids are random, but like there's a difference there because I'm the pastor.
Right.
And so
that's that being aware of the fishbowl.
Yeah. So I think there's love that's shown to them, but there's also expectations put on them that I don't think anybody means to, but it's just, it's as simple as this. When you care about someone, you expect more out of them. You want to help them. And I think some of that can be really good, but there's challenging side of that our kids kind of do get treated a little differently. And I don't think it's anything malicious or mean here at the church. It's just that they care about our kids. And so there's expectations. And I think there's expectations that Sarah feels as, how our family looks and how they behave and all those things that kind of come into play, not because anybody's doing anything wrong, but just because of the expectations. And so I think for them, like what we try to do is we never say, well, because I'm the pastor, you have to act a certain way. Like we just teach them like, this is how you're supposed to act.
Right.
Like this is what we'd expect of you, whether dad was the pastor or not. Right. And that's kind of how we try to treat them. Although I think we feel a different level of pressure for our kids to kind of behave because you need to set the example for the rest of them.
It's true.
It was interesting when Josh and Caitlin got married. Josh was used to it, right? He's grown up at peace. He was born here, so this is all he's ever known in a way. And so when they married, Caitlin had grown up here, but she was not used to everybody in her life. So people coming up and being like, oh, I heard you got a new car, or oh, I heard this, or I heard that.
Yeah.
And she was like, what is happening? All these people have a familiarity with me that I had no idea that this was a part of it.
Yep. And you'll see that in their shyness coming out sometimes, like, you know me better than I know you. But they generally deal with it fairly well.
Yeah.
We have our moments.
Yeah, I think the only time for me with Josh that I made him aware of the fishbowl is when he got into high school. And we had the conversation around drinking and drugs and all of that. And I said, there's going to be a lot of challenges you're going to face in high school. But if you give in to these, that really will take away my witness, what I can speak into people. Because if you can't keep it in check at home, how can I speak into you, in a sense, with students? And he really respected that, and he really honored that super well. But it's almost like entering the third wall, right? Like, I got to tell you, there is a reality here that people are watching, and they're kind of remembering, and I need you on board with this. So it was a huge blessing. All right, so with that being said, what are the challenges that you guys face, that you think families today face in raising their kids in the faith? Like, if you were to name the top 3, what is the heart of it?
I think it's just that, like, we can't expect the culture to help train our kids in the faith, right? And, like, we're blessed. Our kids are even at a Christian school, like, and that's a help and an advantage. But, like, I think that's a challenge, is that we can't expect the TV shows they watch. We can't expect the world around them to teach them about Jesus. And so it's really, it's on our shoulders and our faith family and community that we, have, I think, intentionally put around our kids, right? It's easy as a pastor, I think, in some ways, but, like, we've intentionally sought out a community for them and invested in those relationships so that they would have relationships with other adults. And so I think, like, you have to be really intentional about their faith development. It doesn't happen accidentally. They're not going to accidentally learn about Jesus.
Right. And that's the command: raise a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. That's very intentional. Raise them, do it. It's not if you feel like it,
right?
Or if the world helps you do it, it's do this.
It's also very intimidating, though, because that's a very strict command. And then we also have all these commands from society as far as the timing of when we're supposed to be doing everything, and even, just expectations of what other people would have around us.
Do you find yourself wanting to shelter your kids, like build these really strong things around them because life is coming? And
I would love to, but I also know they have to go out into the world at some point, and they have to be ready, and that stinks.
Yeah, and it's not a Christian one, but the book Anxious Generation's actually been really helpful for both of us, because, like,
it's a great book.
It talks about, like, giving your kids safe danger. I think that's how he termed it, but, like, kind of safe danger, that, like, they need to be climbing trees, and they need to be, like, we've let our kid walk from church to home now, and we live, about a quarter of a mile, so it's not very far, half a mile maybe, and so things like that, like, we want to shelter them, but we realize, like, if we don't, that's going to affect their kind of anxiety going forward. And so as much as we would like to put them in a bubble, we have to give them kind of safe versions of risk so that they learn, so they learn what can happen in the world, right, and dangers and things like that.
Mm-hmm. It's been good for us to be able to talk about that with them, though, and to be able to kind of choose those things, sometimes together and sometimes us going, you know what, it's time for you to be able to do this. And it's hard to just watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some birds that built a nest on my porch one spring. And it was all cool and beautiful. And here's the circle of life on my porch until the mom, like, kicked him out. Oh. And they're literally, like, one of them's laying on the cement looking up at the others, and everybody's yelling at everybody. And I'm like, oh, I can't touch him, she'll reject him. And it was sad. And I was like, oh, this is what we are kind of called to do. But it sure did look brutal in the bird world.
It feels brutal sometimes as we're coming into things. So, but it's how we prepare them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's keeping that long run. Like, and I think I got this from your parents, but, like, that we're training our kids to raise our grandkids, like to keep that in perspective. So it's like we're not just thinking, about getting through it, but we're thinking, and some days we just get through it. Let's be honest.
Oh,
like,
yes,
we're not,
we have plenty of those
there's plenty
days.
of times, but like we do take some time to think about the long run of like, what are we intentionally teaching them so that they're good, parents for our grandkids.
Yeah.
Because we're looking that far ahead at times.
Yeah, I'm living that story, and it's a whole different world, but it's amazing what they retain, and it's amazing what they're like, yeah, you remember when you did that? And you're like, yeah, I do. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you're like, ouch.
Yeah.
But they also have to make it theirs.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the bottom line, the fact that they're believers is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the reality of it is like all of our kids are going to be in therapy at some point in time because of how we parent. Like,
It's whether or not you're paying for it or their insurance is paying for it.
and so like I don't know, like we have to mourn the fact that we are going to do things wrong, but yet be intentional about the long term. I think that's what I'm saying in there, because we're not the perfect parents, and Caleb and Cora and Elijah are going to look back and see and learn things about what they don't want to do and have to work through things. But I think we're trying to be intentional with it over the years, and not necessarily great every day, but over the years.
Yeah, I can't live in the past. I can't live in the future, but I can live in today with my eye kind of on the future and what's going to be. Yeah, I love that. Any other challenges that you think parents are dealing with today?
I mean, there's a whole lot.
Yeah,
So-
we're only going to have 3, and we've already done 1. So
Oh, goodness.
I think I'll be honest, like I think our cell phone use, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
social media is a real issue.
yeah, and just
Well, but like we use our cell phones to do everything. I
Well,
pay bills
true.
on my cell phone, and trying to teach them, it's a tool. But then, I got this picture from Nana, and
Oh.
now I'm suddenly doing this. It's like, nope, got to set it down.
Yeah.
And they actually are very good about telling us,
Mm-hmm.
Mom, you realize you're on your phone? Okay, setting it down.
I heard simpler phones are coming back.
I love this.
Yeah, where
Please tell me it's the Nokia brick.
I don't know that.
Wow.
I'm a Mac person, so if Mac wants to sponsor us, feel free. But it's supposed to be much more simple. It doesn't have all the apps. I call, maybe I can text. That's it. And it's supposed to simplify things.
Yeah, but I mean, we say that, but then how are we going to pay bills? How are we going to we go through the list
We
of
will
things,
get on the
like,
computer.
We will get on the computer. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I just, but I think going back to like that, we are discipling our children to love phones, right? We just are.
I'd love to not be.
Yeah. But the look Sarah just gave, Pastor, you can tell she's like, yeah, it's the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's hard. It is really hard. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, last one. Do you have one you just want to throw out there? If not, we can move on.
I think just the general busyness and pace of life. I think parenthood and discipleship requires and my guess is we'll get into this, but like in Matthew 28 says, the way I translate it is as you go, in your going, in the things that you do, disciple them, teach them. And so I think like in training kids about Jesus, like we have to have the time and space to slow down. And I'm not sure we're good at that. I think we maybe have a slower pace of life than some.
I would say we probably do. And even we struggle to get all of it in.
Yeah, we have meals together, most days of the week, right? Even if it's between being up at church and back at church, like it's our goal to do that, and it doesn't always happen. But like we slow down with our kids and eat meals together, and like even with as much as it's on our mind, remembering to open and do the devotions, right? The kids are probably better at it remembering it than we are. And
Easily, they are. Luckily, they also are at the point when they enjoy reading the devotions.
Yeah.
And so they are helping be part of that culture, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, but just, I mean, even the pace that we have, and we intentionally have done some things to carve out that time. Like, it's easy to forget to have the conversations about Jesus, or to bring it up, or to, and we have lots of conversations with our kids, and, we're tucking them in every night. We're, eating meals together, all those things. And it's still hard just in the pace of life to do that. And I think that's the struggle, is that, like, that deep discipleship that we want to have with our kids, I think it's hard to access in this pace, the fast-paced world that we live in.
Yeah, with people new to our faith family, it's one of the top things that I hear. It's making space, having the space to be in a small group, or to be able to do one more thing. But what I love is, I think your generation, maybe more than mine, because I'm not very far removed from you guys, but your generation more than mine is really intentional of setting harder boundaries. Like, we're not going to give this time up. We are going to have dinner around the table. Mine was lucky if we had a crock pot meal around the table, because we were still going to go.
Yeah.
So it seems like you're protecting that time a little bit better maybe than my generation did.
We're trying to. It doesn't make it easy, for sure.
Right. The heart is still there. Yeah. All right. So a young family just had a baby, and they come to you guys and they say, how do we raise our child in the faith?
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the nuts and bolts of your kids being believers? Yeah, you thought it was easy coming on here and answering the question.
You said it was just having a conversation. Come on. I think some of it is in those choices that you're already going to make, like reading a story to your kid at night. Make sure it's a Bible story. Make sure that you're opening God's Word together then, or at least, there's so many great storybook Bibles and Bible stories all over the place that just reinforce that. We have scripture up a number of places. We take the time to pray together. And even if it's just the memorized prayers, you take the time to do it. And they get in that habit. When you create those habits, they don't go away. We have kids that get upset if we forget something. We have accidentally forgotten things, and they're very distraught about it, and they will make that happen, and that's great.
That's good.
Yeah,
really good.
and Sarah, and where our partnership really is good is I'll sum up the big picture of it really well, but like the beauty of it is all the little details that Sarah does so well at making happen. But like the big picture of it is what we're showing our kids in our words and deeds and these traditions. What we're showing them is, for mom and dad, faith isn't just something that we put on when it's convenient, but it's who we are. I think that's really the value that we get to embody for our kids, is that, like, I'm not who I am without Jesus, right? We're not who we are as a couple without Jesus. We're not who we are as a family without Jesus. And so all these things we do, from, having the devotions around the verses, going to church regularly, to we talk to our kids about how we give to our church, and all these things, it's just it's really simple in theory. It's just showing them that faith for us is more than just dad's job. It's more than just something we do. It's who we are. And there's really for us, there's no separating the two. And how we embody that to our kids, right? If my kids are Thunder fans, Oklahoma City Thunder fans. They're Thunder fans because I am. Like, I am a huge Thunder fan, but like, it's part of who I am, and so
Right.
they're that. Well, the bigger part of me is Jesus, and so in the things that we do, right? How do they know I'm a Thunder fan? Well, I have Thunder gear. I watch Thunder games. We talk about the Thunder, right? Like, you apply that to faith. It's the same thing. You have stuff in your house that reminds you about Jesus. You go places that remind you about Jesus. You talk about Jesus. You pray to Jesus, right? You just do the things that show what matters.
Okay, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
So you do those things, you check them off your list. So when they hit 16 to 18, they're good to go. Their faith life is set. Everything's going to be perfect.
No, that is in no way what we expect And so,
No, not expect. No, but if I'm listening, so that's the magic here, just being consistent and doing things repeatedly.
no, but I think it puts those habits in place for as things get hard, because even like we're dealing with now, the kids are having more tests and things, right? They get worried. We get anxious about things. What do? Okay, we stop and pray.
Right.
Right away. We don't wait for a specific time. We deal with it in that moment. And so when we're teaching those things, that's what's going to surround them and hopefully be that annoying thing in their head as they're dealing with things that,
Right.
oh, all right, I got a way to deal with this.
Yeah. And they've seen you deal with some hard already, Pastor, with your illness, like, and your kids have talked very openly about that. But they've also been praying for you, and they are in the Word for you, and standing with you.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that, like, our job as parents is formation. God's job is transformation. And so that's a big difference. Like, all I can do is be in charge of the formation. All I can do is the little things day in, day out, based on, where I am that day, based on my own vulnerabilities. All I can do is the best I can to form my kids. But it's going to be God that transforms them. It's going to be Him that holds on to them in their faith for, I pray, the rest of their life. But all I can do is do that right next thing, and then let Him do the big thing. And I think that takes the weight off our shoulders, but it puts our focus on the right thing. I don't have to be worried about their faith life, but I can be focused on the formation today.
Yeah, well said. What about the parent that's listening who maybe hasn't started yet? They haven't been doing nighttime prayers. They haven't been doing devotions.
Yeah.
My kid's 10.
It is never too late to start.
Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
She's looking at me like I'm dumb.
Well, think about when you put your kid in a new sport for the very first time. They have no clue how to play, no clue how to do any of those things. And you learn. And sometimes you learn together.
Yeah. My son got to start varsity soccer, as a senior. And I was like, what is happening? This is the baseball kid, right? But he jumped in there and he started, his first day, and there you go. I agree with you. There's no you don't have to wait for the perfect time.
There is no perfect time.
Right. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just step into it. Yeah. Just have that conversation and let's go. Like you say, let's go. Yeah. What do you think if you look 5-10 years down the road? Do you think the pressures of the world are going to be the same for our kids' faith? Do you think it's going to be different? Do you think it's going to be harder? What do you think?
I'll maybe answer it a little different. Like, I don't know that, but I think what I am super excited about versus how Sarah and I grew up. Like, when we grew up, there was this very close, like, culture was very close to the church, especially we grew up in the Bible Belt, like church. So it was very hard to, like, discern, like, church and culture. So it was like, the Baptist kids are going out drinking again, right? Like, that was like, well, is that okay or not? Because it's like they're going to youth group. So, like, is that okay or not? Where I think, like, the line between the two has diverged so much that I'm hopeful that our kids are going to be able to discern a whole lot easier, actually, what's God's will and what's not, because the world's going to look so different, and it does look so different. And so I think that's an advantage that, it's going to be challenging, but they have a different kind of advantage that we didn't have, right? It was hard to kind of discern what was right and wrong.
Yes.
I think now, like, if we keep raising them in God's word, it's going to be clear what is and what's not in a way that wasn't for us as kids. But in some ways, I don't see it getting any easier. But I think that's an advantage they're going to have that we didn't.
Yeah, it's good to hear something positive for the future, right? Because we could be like, no, cell phones are going to get worse. It's all going to get worse, But it's good to hear you take more of a positive take on it.
Yeah, and the other thing I see, and I'm really love, and we saw it kind of just the last few years in confirmation, right? The amount of parents that were like intentionally deciding that no, my kid's not on social media. Like that was a big change that just in my time of being a pastor here that I've seen that I think I'm really excited about, because right now we have parents already that are talking with us about, we're waiting a while to let our kids have the cell phone. And I think there's going to be that support from other parents that see it in the same way as us. There'll be kids with cell phones, yes, before too long. Already sometimes we see it with our third grader, his friends. But like there are parents that are on the same page as us. We're not going to be the only ones saying, yep, my kid's not having a cell phone for quite a while. So
yeah, the anxiety around social media and the keeping up can really, really add a whole different layer. It's good to hear. It's really good to hear. All right, so we didn't find the magic pill in a sense to make it all so much easier, but great discussion. And just kind of wrapping it up, how would you wrap it up today?
Just trust God. He's going to do it. Psalm 127:1, unless the Lord builds a house, those who labor in vain, right? Like our house is formed on Jesus, and we get to let him do the big stuff. We get to do the little things every day to just teach our kids a little bit more about Jesus.
Yeah, and I think, again, doing it with that transparency, that authenticity.
Oh, goodness.
You're supposed to have a closing thought.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that. And it's supposed to be like genius, so people keep rewinding it.
Lovely. This is fun to find out at this point. Just to start somewhere. No matter where it is, start somewhere. And there's so many ways to gather around faith and just start building that relationship with Jesus.
Sarah, I loved having you at the mic. If we can get Pastor Josh out of here, maybe you and I start.
Yeah, you guys can do it.
There we go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you guys for being with us today. And I love this conversation, and we look forward to having another conversation with you next time. Have a great day.